Hello YouTube and welcome to Frooglesim news for today, Sunday, February the 8th. I'm going to start right off with the controversy. PMDG have released the 777 for Prepared. Now, both the base package and the expansion have been released, and the intro price of the base package is $89.99, which is actually the same price as it is for FSX. The full price is $134.99, and they're going to be going up to that price after March the 7th. The Dash 300 expansion is $29.99, just the same as the FSX Dash 300 expansion. And now, the reason this is controversial, there's been a lot of debate obviously on AVSIM where PMDG hold their forums about why was nobody given an introductory price, why do we have to pay again, etc, etc, etc. Well, from a personal point of view, I got to get the disclaimer out there. As a beta tester, I don't have to pay for it. I get it for free, but I liked the last product so much, I actually bought 2 copies. One was gifted to my moderator on Facebook, Tony, for his hard work, and one was given to a prize winner of a competition. I will also be buying more for Prepared. That's how much I like the product. That's just my personal opinion. Getting into the actual news though on this, the product actually required extensive development to make use of Prepared. It's not simply a fix to make an FSX product run in Prepared. The price covers not only that development work, but also a budget for the future. You have to bear in mind that Prepared is a moving platform. Lockheed are continually updating it and extending it. Even now, we're just a couple of weeks away, I think, from version 2.5, and there is still noise coming from Lockheed about a 64-bit version. Updates to the Prepared version of all of PMDG's aircraft, including the 777 here, will be free, and that includes the update to 64-bit. So the way I read this, and I could be a little biased, I probably am, but I'm getting that out there. The way I read this is that the initial price on FSX paid for the initial development, the high price on Prepared is multifold. It's a different platform. It required extensive new development, and it's a price which funds the further and continued development, updates, reworks, and enhancements to make it compatible with whatever other version of Prepared comes out, including 64-bit. Now, it's also worth pointing out that the price is actually in line with the rest of the market. A2A's $172 for Prepared, which is, again, another extremely high-end simulation suitable for deep study, is actually only $10 cheaper than the 777. But ultimately, it all comes down to Robert Randazzo, and his words on AVSIM tonight were, if you don't want or need the Prepared package, the FSX Steam Edition package will suit you very nicely. Moving on, Aerosoft's night environments have been updated for both New York and New Jersey. Now, this follows on from Night Environment Europe. They are incredibly detailed textures and night lighting for the states of New Jersey and New York, not just the city of New York, but the state. You can actually now see highways at night connecting cities and smaller roads leading into residential areas. In fact, the night scenery that they have here is so good that it actually simplifies VFR navigation at night. Aerosoft are actually keen to point out on their own websites that in the real world, it's sometimes easier to navigate in a residential or an urban area at night than daylight because everything is lit up. Lights are visible up to 60 miles away. They do cast onto the terrain as well. Obviously, these add-ons are fully compatible with their Orbex FTX Global, and the packages are available for both FSX and Prepared at $14.87 each. Now, a few people did mention that there was no X-Plane news last week, and that's really because I didn't find anything that I thought was really cool. This week, that's all changed with the release of V-Flight's Ryan Navion for X-Plane. You can pick this up from the xplane.org store. Now, the Ryan Navion is kind of an unusual aircraft and not one most of us are familiar with. I certainly wasn't before I started looking into it today. It's an old 1940s aircraft, but V-Flight have updated it with a glass cockpit, GPS, and autopilot. The actual aircraft is a single-engine unpressurized aircraft with retractable gear, and it's got a good turn of speed, topping out at around about 165 knots. With an updated cockpit, such as in this version, it's actually a really nice change from the typical Cessnas and Pipers that the VFR crowd flock to for doing VFR and low-level flight. The V-Flight version comes with a 16-page manual, as well as cruise and performance charts, 31 liveries, as well as cool effects like rain and ice on the windows. You can find out more about the aircraft at the X-Plane store, the link in the show notes below. Next up, Active Sky Next, at long last, are approaching an open beta for Active Sky Next with the Steam edition of FSX, thank goodness. They're calling it Service Pack 2, it is incoming, and they say that they had to redesign and rebuild the AS Connect module, which is a DLL that sits within the sim, completely to cope with FSX Steam Edition. They also had to cope with updates from Dovetail complicating matters and have been fighting a lot of freezing and stability issues even in FSX Steam Edition without any add-ons installed, but they are reaching the end of a long road, and they do expect to go into an open beta within the next week or so. They actually said between the 10th and the 15th of February, so fingers crossed. That day, of course, could move, but we hope it doesn't. Back in the world of X-Plane, ALPilotEX, Andras Fabian, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, has done it once again. Now, this is a guy that produced a lot of high-definition meshes, for the entire planet. He's now released UHD meshes, so ultra high definition meshes. There's limited coverage at the moment, but it does increase the resolution of elevation data in those terrain meshes from 90 meters to 30 meters, and the mesh density has increased 2.5 to 3 times on the areas covered. You get a much better landmass mapping as a result. It is, of course, at that resolution very demanding and does require a very powerful machine to run, but as before, it's donationware. That means it's free to download, but you should really, if you're using it and like it and love it, and I love the ALPilotEX meshes very much. I haven't checked out the UHD ones yet, but if you love them and use them and you want to see more, you really should consider making a donation. More information at the ALPilotEX link in the show notes below. Now, where would a Frooglesim news be without rounding out the show with our typical Dovetail DLC message? Dovetail have resurrected yet more DLC from the defunct brand of first-class simulations, this time Discover Great Britain. It's basically 65 flights with optional routes and includes a recreation of the Oster Autocrat J1. The package also includes detailed pilot notes with a full tutorial on flying the Oster. Aerosoft, following this, also announced that they have partnered with Dovetail, so we should soon expect to see Aerosoft products on Steam as well. More information on Discover Great Britain at the link in the show notes below. And that's all I've got for this week. As always, my name is Frugal. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon.